it was a big moment for you planting a flag and taking the operation into a fixed location. So give me a deep dive on all the things Burgh Bites Brick and Mortar, past, present, and future.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just kind of give you the story here on how we got started. I was working for a company called. Should I just unplug this? You think that's going to be an issue?
Whatever, doesn't matter to me.
Ring. So I was working for a company called Living Social. Living Social was like Groupon. It was I wouldn't say the ankle biter of Groupon. It was pretty big. I had got that job because from Duquesne, I was the president of the Duquesne Entrepreneurial Alliance. We started a student-run business, which was the first student-run business when I was president there. It was called the Burgh card. I think you remember, you were involved. Touch Faster was involved.
Yep.
And we would sell the card. It's a discount card. We'd sell it to the students at Duquesne. At its peak, we had like 2,000 cards out. We had like 80 businesses that were signed up on the card offering a discount. That company dissolved once people graduated. I was kind of running it by myself. That card, the discount card, is what got me the job at Living Social. So I was really stoked about it. Big internet company. You know, they fly me out to Chicago to, or I'm sorry, it was DC to, give me a week training. It's really cool. So I'm working for them for 3 months, and they fired me. So long story short with that was on a Monday. They fired me. By Friday, I had enrolled in culinary school. So I'm living at home. I didn't have even a steady girlfriend, really no direction of where I was going to go. I just got fired. And I kind of just took a step back and said, look, I've been through a couple jobs now. What do I really want to do? And since I was a kid, going to the Italian oven is what I think really did me in. I always wanted a restaurant. Not a good cook. Didn't like cooking. Didn't want to learn to cook. Just wanted a restaurant blindly. So during that week, I talked to my dad and I said, look, what do you say we kind of partner up on something like this? He came from a restaurant background. My grandmother and grandfather were the owners of the Ritz down in Bridgeville. It's a little shot and a beer bar, famous locally for their fish sandwiches, good home cooking. They ran that place for 50-some years, put my dad through college, put him through med school. My dad got out of the business, obviously. And now we're coming full circle, and I'm asking him, hey, let's do this. And he's obviously seen way too much. And he said, look, you don't know anything. We'll do culinary school. I'll help you get through that. And I said, all right, sure. Reluctantly going to culinary school to appease him. And as I'm going to school, I start really liking cooking. My mother's a great cook. Both my grandmothers were great cooks. I just wasn't into it. I just loved eating food. And I've been, not all around the world, but I've been to Italy and Spain, and I've seen some, really great cuisine. So I knew food well. I just didn't really know how to cook it. So I think what I later understood about why I didn't like cooking or want to cook was a little bit of the fear of the unknown. I didn't know how. So it was just like, I didn't really want to learn. Once I started learning, fell in love with it. And during that time, I was working in a little restaurant. It's called Il Berlone, a little Italian eatery. It's still there today. It's up in Scott Town Center. Great Italian food. That's where I met our now executive chef, John Trick. So I was working for him at the time, going to culinary school during the day, working for him at night. And then on the weekends, I had bought a hot dog cart that I luckily knew somebody that had a permit to a space in Shadyside on Walnut Street. Great location. So I rented his spot off him with my hot dog cart. So during the day, going to culinary school, going to work at the restaurant with John at night, Occasionally, he would come with me late night, Friday and Saturday night after we closed the restaurant. We'd go and sell hot dogs till 3 in the morning. Occasionally, I have other people help me out. But what was really cool about that experience was that I got to test out recipes on a very forgiving crowd. People rolling out of the bars, just looking to shove their faces with anything they possibly could, food-wise. And I was one of the only games in town there, right on the street, quick.
Right.
So we kind of, dug our heels in with hot dogs. That was our thing. Everybody knew we did bacon wrapped hot dogs as well. But as I was learning stuff in school, I was testing out new sandwiches on these, the crowd at night, Cuban sandwiches. That's where we kind of perfected that. We did a falafel sandwich. That's where we perfected that. So it gave me a really unique, very forgiving environment to test out food on real customers. And they
gotta love drunk people, man.
I'm going to write a book, Hot Dog Chronicles. There's a lot of love for them, and there was some really hilarious and bad moments too.
I'd write a book that has the same title, but it would be a whole different thing. It would be about how the economy collapsed as soon as I got out of college, and the only thing I could afford for 5 years was hot dogs.
Yeah, there you go. I can work both titles with that. So we saved up some money. Never wanted to get in the hot dog cart game. Never wanted to get in the food truck game. Wanted a restaurant. But the natural progression from the hot dog cart was to get a food truck. So what really kind of was a launching pad for that end of it was I took the hot dog cart up to Mount Washington, to Grandview Park, one afternoon in the summer, late spring, God, eight years ago. And there was the Friends of Grandview. They were the people that basically help run and fund the park up there. They
Right.
put on a community event up there, right? And they tasted, oddly enough, I had a really unique sandwich. It was a porchetta sandwich that I had up there. And one of the ladies came up and tasted it and just loved it and was like, oh my God, this sandwich is unbelievable. Do you want to do a dinner for us up here? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. At this point in time, I was saying yes to absolutely everything, good, bad, or indifferent. Fortunately, this one was unbelievably good, but I didn't know it at the time. She said, yeah, it's a dinner. We do it outside up here. We've been doing it for a couple of years. The chef isn't able to do it this year, so we're looking for somebody to fill the spot. And I'm just like, yeah, let's go, for sure. So I reach out to John. I tell him about this dinner I'm going to do, and no big deal. So I start finding out a little bit more and more about this dinner, and what it is a 100-person, $100 a plate dinner, 5 courses, that if that wasn't enough, the predecessor chef was the guy from from Cure.
You would know better than I would, but I definitely know Cure.
Oh God, I'm blanking on his name. He's got Cure. He's got the Spanish tapas restaurant down in Lawrenceville as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who it was. This guy was in, like, I don't know if it was Dish magazine or if it was something national, that I saw that and I was like, Jesus, I got to follow up this guy and put on a dinner for $100, plate, blah, blah, blah. And, that's long story short there, we did a great job of it. And, we did our own menu that was, homemade pasta and whatnot. And that opened up a huge door for us to do catering and weddings and all sorts of stuff, which eventually helped to drive the, idea of getting that food truck. So then, we ran with that for a couple of years, built up our business. During this entire time, for about the last 8 years ago, we started looking for a space. Finally, we find a little space in, luckily, the school district I grew up in, Chartiers Valley, right here in Heidelberg. And we got it for a great price. We built it out. It's got a garage in the back that, has our food truck. So now we're restaurant, food truck, catering, all out of the shop here. And it's been great. The community here has been hugely accepting of us and supportive of us. And we didn't mean to land in CV, but it's been huge help there. I get old school teachers. I get, people I haven't seen, friends I haven't seen, parents I haven't seen in 10 years coming to eat food here. And I think that's a lot of the reason we've been successful. So that pretty much brings us here to today.
Yeah, well, so that's kind of awesome that you were like, well, it wasn't part of the equation that that I would be where I went to high school. But I mean, if you pay attention to politics and especially like local politics and just kind of like how communities interact with themselves and the support they show people that whether or not they leave, they come back and they make an establishment, the support that comes back to them from giving back into the community that they grew up in is always I shouldn't say always, but is often received very well.
Right.